The Seattle Mariners' biggest surprise of the 2025 season. Let's talk about it. So while there has been a few surprises from the 2025 season, at least so far, there is one person in particular that really stands out, and as most of you know, I am a huge fan of. This is a pretty obvious one, but that player is obviously Jorge Polanco, and as you guys know, if you follow me over on X, I was a pretty decent fan of Jorge Polanco coming back in 2025. I even had said it in one of my earlier videos in the beginning of the offseason, basically saying that I think the Mariners should really give Jorge Polanco another shot, especially if his knee is healthy. So in today's video, we're going to go over some of the things that Jorge Polanco is doing extremely well in 2025 so far. The biggest thing that really hurts the Mariners is the fact that he basically isn't playing every day. I'm assuming that's most likely a precautionary thing, as I don't think he is dealing with any issues or anything, but I do think it's mainly more precautionary just so he can obviously put together an entire season. But this version of Jorge Polanco is the version the Seattle Mariners had hoped they would be getting last year when they acquired him to bring him in, because he's obviously been a very good offensive player for most of his career, and he's a veteran. He's a savvy vet. He's been in the league for, I think, 11 years now. So he has experience, and this is obviously not what we expected him to do last year. So I'm glad to see him finally turning around in 2025 now that that knee is a lot more healthy than it was in 2024. And yes, of course, this is still a very small sample size, as he's only played in 11 games out of the 17 now that the Seattle Mariners have played, but his numbers are absolutely off the charts and way better than any of us could have anticipated. He has 3 home runs so far, 12 RBIs. He's hitting .378. He has a 194 WRC plus and a .4 WAR, obviously very early in the season. But his K percentage is honestly the thing that stands out to me most, at only a 12.5%, which as of now is the lowest K percentage in his entire career. Now, the one thing we're going to talk about to start is the fact that Jorge Polanco has 14 hits on the year, and 3 of them are extra base hits, aka all home runs, and the other 11 are singles. And now some of you are probably saying, why does that matter? When you go over to his Baseball Savant page, the one thing that really stands out in terms of why he's maybe not putting up as much power numbers in terms of doubles and home runs, which 3 home runs is still pretty solid for him to start the year, is his launch angle. His launch angle is one of the lowest in his entire career at an 8.9, according to Baseball Savant, which is the lowest he's ever had since 2015, where he was a rookie, I believe, and he barely had any ABs up until that point. In his rookie year, he played in 5 games, so that's not even a legitimate sample size to even compare to. But it is his lowest launch angle, and like I said, in his career. Even in 2024, his launch angle was 17.8, so it seems like he was trying to get under the ball more and try to put more balls out, which, as we could tell, really didn't work for him last year. So that is why it is a massive decrease in terms of his launch angle this year, which is why he's putting up a much higher batting average. But going a little bit deeper into his Baseball Savant page and some certain statistics that stand out so far, again, still a small sample size this year, but comparing it to the rest of his career, the first one being his swing percentage. So right now he has a 51.8% swing percentage, which is yet again higher than any other season in his career. To give you a better sense, in 2024, his swing percentage was 44.8%, and the highest in his career up until this point, which is also one of the standout ones, which was 49.5% back in 2021, which, as we know, was one of his best seasons. So it seems like having that more aggressive approach for Jorge Polanco, which is probably something that Edgar or Kevin Seitzer figured out with him, is kind of going back to that aggressive approach and being more aggressive when hitting, and obviously it's panned out so far, so hopefully he can continue that and continue to be aggressive, because as we know, it worked out in 2021 pretty well for him. Now, going back to another statistic that is a career high as of right now is his first pitch swing percentage. So this, as you know, goes along with the concept of being very aggressive at the plate, and it is his highest, again, by a pretty big long shot at 35% of first pitch swing percentages, which his previous highest was in 2023 with a 29.7%. So it seems like this very aggressive approach is really helping Jorge Polanco just not be so patient. That's one thing that, at least that I'm noticing so far, is that Donovan Solano is really struggling with. Donovan Solano seems to be taking the first pitch no matter where it is. He takes a first pitch strike basically every time, whether it's right down the middle or not. So that is something that might help Donovan Solano, which we do want to talk about in a later video, and kind of how he's been disappointing so far from a Mariners standpoint. But that is one thing that I am noticing that he is kind of struggling with, is he gets himself so deep into these counts that he really can't get his way out, and it's really just not working. Before Jorge Polanco, this aggressive approach and being there, first strike swinging that's there, attack it. It seems to be his main approach that's really working well for him, and hopefully he can continue that and keep being very aggressive. But now another extremely impressive stat from Jorge Polanco is when it comes down to pitch type. So in 2024, with fastballs, breaking balls, and off speed. So off the fastball in 2024, he hit 240. Off the breaking ball, he hit 212. And then off the off speed pitches, he hit 145, which are obviously pretty terrible numbers all the way across the board. 240 against fastballs is meh, but the rest of them are pretty brutal across the board. But now in 2025, there is not a single pitch that Jorge Polanco is not handling just fine. Off fastballs in 2025, he has a 421 batting average. Off breaking balls, he has a 375 batting average. And off speed, he has a 300 batting average. So Jorge Polanco is handling any pitch that's in the zone just fine and somehow still producing off of it. So those are just some main statistics that Jorge Polanco has really improved in 2025 so far. And this is honestly the version of Jorge Polanco that we all hoped that we would get when we first acquired him. But I'm glad that this year he's finally figuring it out. His knee seems to be getting much healthier, and he has had a huge impact on the Seattle Mariners' success so far, which honestly hasn't been great. And they probably would be even worse off if Jorge Polanco wasn't performing at the level that he is performing at. But for these reasons, he is obviously the most surprising Seattle Mariner so far in 2025. There are a few honorable mentions that I might make another video on, especially from a bullpen perspective. But Jorge Polanco has been great for the Seattle Mariners, and I'm so hyped about it. He has been one of my favorite players on this team since we did acquire him. Obviously, he did struggle, but I was always rooting for him to kind of bounce back. But he is just kind of returning to that form that we had hoped. So hopefully he can really continue that moving forward. But please let me know how surprising you are by Jorge Polanco's stats so far, and do you think he can continue this for an entire season? Otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.